Hey everybody, we are live in the Leverage Lending headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
CLTMortgageguy. We got Ashley Anna over here for Thursday Thoughts, another edition of Thursday Thoughts. So, stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming at you today. So, Ash, give me a little bit of what you're seeing now, because I'm seeing a little bit of heat up in the market. We've had a lot of applications come in. We got a lot of phone calls, people calling. Of course, the big news was yesterday, jobs report came out with not as many jobs being created, so sent rates going a little bit lower, which always makes the phone ring. So what are you seeing out there, Ash?
I could definitely sense that rates are lower than they were 3 months ago.
100%.
You know, it's pretty competitive out there, and if you're not getting on these listings that are trickling into the market here in the Charlotte region, then you're going to miss out. We still right now have some negotiating room, a little bit, right? But I think that as we get into the spring market, that is going to change significantly. I've already been in some multiple offer situations that we weren't able to secure. I had one house, there was 13 offers on this house, y'all. 13. This was
What was the price point?
$250.
Wow.
And you know, so we didn't win that one. So I think that for buyers out there, it's important to be knowledgeable on what you can afford, be able to adjust when needed, be able to be creative with our offers, which we're working on. You know, I mean, there's only so much you can do if you have an FHA loan, but a lot of times we can be creative with like seller leasebacks or due diligence fees here in North Carolina, things like that. So, you know, we're having to be a little bit more creative. I do feel like it's starting to pick up a little bit more, which is a good thing because last fall was kind of brutal, as you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the rates were just, it was just unaffordable for a lot of people.
Right. Rates were scaring people out of the market. The people that did stay in the market, I think they did capitalize, the ones that the affordability wasn't really affecting them to a degree. They were able to, I think, negotiate seller concessions, temporary buy downs, and things like that. Whereas now rates are coming down. Everybody's getting back into the market now. So for every 1%, I think we talked about last week, for every 1% drop in interest rate, 5 million people get into the market, go back into the market. So think about that for a second, right? So if you are waiting or thought about waiting, it's probably not something that you want to continue to do if rates get into the fives, because I mean, you get into the octagon, you know, I'd start training for the MMA because it's going to get real when it comes to that.
Battle.
A battle, for sure.
But I mean, it's a good time. Like, I really want to encourage clients to not wait. Like, a lot of our first-time home buyers are people that are thinking about, you know, getting into the investment properties. Even there's a lot of headway in that still. You're never going to regret doing it today. And people always say, I wish I did this 5 years ago. Right. Right?
You can't ever time the market.
No.
That's a big, big thing is people want to time the market, right? We want to know when the feds are going to drop the interest rates. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen, if it's going to impact the mortgages. I mean, the feds didn't drop the rate yesterday, and people think that that's the ultimate indicate, like that they think that once the Fed drops the interest rate, that has a direct correlation to long-term mortgages. As we saw yesterday, the Fed did not drop the interest rates, but the rates dropped. Why did they drop? They dropped because the jobs report, the economic data that comes out can make huge waves in the market. So if you don't have, if it's when the market data comes out for the jobs report, it's estimated job creation, right? So that estimated certain number of jobs are going to be created. If that doesn't meet the expectations of what's created, that they think that there's not enough money that's going to be in the economy to be spent, so they're going to have to lower the rates, or the bond market is stimulated because of that, thinking, oh, the economy's not that great. There's not as many jobs in the market, so people aren't spending money. We need to get the economy rolling again. So that is the train of thought for that. So just because the feds don't drop the interest rates, the federal funds rate, doesn't mean the rates aren't going to drop. So you have to watch the economic data that comes out. You can follow the 10-year Treasury, which is a good indication of where the 30-year mortgage rate follows, if you have any questions when it comes to that. So just...
Or you could just like call you.
Oh yeah, you could do that too.
Which is what I do.
You can do that too.
I'm like,
yeah.
wait, so what does this mean, Angelo? Like,
right.
Is this good or bad? And he's like, it depends.
Right. You know, and it could go either way. It could shift the market one way or the other. When nobody really knows kind of if that jobs report came in the opposite, it would have sent rates higher.
Right.
And so I played safe.
Like if more jobs were added,
if more jobs
exceeded the expectations.
Correct. So for that, I played it safe, and I locked some of my pipeline yesterday, and which is causing some questions today because rates did drop. I locked to safeguard some of my clients, and it was good. You know, I made a right decision on, well, I knew that the feds weren't going to drop the interest rates, which that was true, but the jobs report, nobody really, it didn't meet the expectations, so that sent things into a tailspin when it comes to the bond market, which helped interest rates, but didn't help my pipeline. So now I can, in this particular case, to me, we're talking about this with Ashley before we went live, is I have a locked pipeline. Like, I can move that. If I can't renegotiate with the current lender with that locked interest rate, I can move that to another lender if need be. So
what you're saying is you made a decision. You made an educated decision to lock in a lot of your clients.
My pipeline, correct. To safeguard them in case of...
Right, because it could go up. And
correct.
What you were reading, you just never know. So you decided to make a educated decision to lock these people in. And then the Fed met, blah, 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 the jobs reports came out, and then that sent the market down. Then people start calling you, right, because you lock in rates, and they're like, oh, well, I just read something that rates are now at 6% or whatever.
Right.
And you're just like... Okay, well, yeah, I mean, listen, you can Google and you can find any Joe Blow that's going to give you money for cheaper than the next guy. But you locked in these rates with the lenders, and sometimes you can negotiate lower rates at that point.
Correct. If it drops me to like a certain amount, you can do what's called a renegotiation, yeah.
But that's not always the best decision, right?
It's not, no. And if it doesn't drop, a certain percentage point or enough, then there's really nothing that we can do with that particular lender. So, instead of, many times, we can pull it from that particular lender, which, and people don't understand when you own a mortgage company, you have lock policies with these certain lenders that say, hey, if I'm going to lock, let's say 5 million loans in a month, but I don't send you, but $200,000 of that 5 million or $500,000 of that 5 million. And that looks bad on us, right? So we have certain lock policies that we have to adhere to for our lenders to keep doing business with those lenders. So we do have to try to make the best decisions. And we can't just lock loans willy-nilly and just be like, whatever, and then switch it and send it to a different lender. So if there's time enough in a transaction, and if we can't do a renegotiation, if we can't get the lender to renegotiate, we can pull it from that particular lender and send it somewhere else for a better interest rate. But it's frowned upon when we do that too many times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just bad business when it comes to that.
Okay, so let's do this example. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this, but I think it's important to understand because everyone's looking at rates right now. That's the headline. Right? People want to know what the rates are. People are watching what the Fed does. They're supposed to be lowering rates, blah, blah, blah. So it's you. You're getting a loan. You locked yourself in before the Fed meeting. Today, you saw that they went down. Now what do you do?
Call. The best thing to do is to call your mortgage guy, whoever that may be, and say, hey, man, I see that the Fed's, the jobs report came out, and I see that the 10-year Treasury went down. Everything is saying, some indicators are saying that rates got potentially better. Can we talk about that? What's that look like today for me? Do we have any wiggle room with the current lender to lower the interest rate Talk to me about what that looks like in this particular situation with our transaction. And then being me, I'd be, all right, fantastic. Glad that you asked that. Usually I would probably get to you at some point in time during that day or the next day, because I go through my pipeline and say,
here's the deal, right?
What kind of moves do we need to make if we do need to make moves? Because it takes time. It takes time to kind of filter all that out and say, hey, okay, that's where we locked. This is where we could potentially get if we weren't at this lender. So it takes time. There's a strategy behind it. So the best thing to do is to don't just abandon ship to your mortgage guy. Keep in constant communication with your mortgage guy about this, because the last thing he wants to do is to lose A, your business, B, the relationship with you, with the realtor, and potentially blow a closing, right? Because if you're within a certain window of closing, there's nothing you can do.
Like,
right?
What's that window?
I mean, the window for that, you're probably looking
10 days, or
I would say two weeks,
yeah.
Because if you have to change lenders, you potentially may have to get another appraisal. You may not be able to take that appraisal from lender to lender. There's a lot of nuances when it comes to flipping lenders, so it needs to be calculated. There needs to be a time. So, if I told you and said, hey, Ash, John Smith, I can get them a better rate. They want to, they don't, if it causes them to not close on this day, how would the sellers feel? What are the repercussions? What are the repercussions? Are the sellers willing to, because rates went down and the buyer wants a different rate? What would your seller say? What do you think we could work out in this situation? Do we have options? And so being honest and transparent and not just abandoning ship with your current lender is the first and foremost what you need to do. Talk to them first, because if they're a mortgage broker like myself, we work with 25 of the top wholesale lenders in the nation. We can bob and weave if need be, if there's time.
Let me just say this too, Angelo, because that is the benefit of working with you, right? Like he's going to take a collaborative approach. I have seen so many transactions just not go well, and here recently, because it's a big bank, right? People think that, oh, I'm just going to go through my bank, or my cousin is a lender or something, and they don't care. They don't care that rates drop. They already are locked in. They're not having this conversation. They're not taking the time to explain, oh, we do have options, or here's why we don't. So this is very important. This is what makes Angelo different. This is
Sorry about that.
So I want to be super clear on you can Google anything, right? Anyone can do anything for free. And Angelo, I trust Angelo, right? Angelo's going to do the right thing. He's a person. He's sitting right here.
I'm human.
I can touch him.
I'm human. You're human too. Like we don't want to be treated like a commodity. We want to be. You just be real. Like, I get it. You want the best rate because you're married to that rate until you refi, right?
And you're going to do everything you can to give people the best rate.
Right.
I truly believe that.
I can do whatever I can do within my means. Nobody wants to work for free, right? Nobody wants to work for free. I mean, I have a family to feed. I have a team here that relies on transactions, and you work. Everybody works. Yeah. Nobody wants to work for free. So. But we do the best job. We try to stay as competitive as we can in the market. So you come back to us over and over again.
And you'll explain that to clients too. Like, okay, this is what you're paying for. This is like, when you're going through a transaction on a property, there are tons of lines of expenses, right? And it's important to understand what those expenses are and what you're paying and why. And that's what I tell clients all the time. I'm like, okay, find lenders. I don't care who you use. Here's who I recommend and why. And then make sure that you're getting the same estimates from the same people. Like make sure that you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah.
Because people will slide things in at the last minute. You don't realize you have all these exorbitant fees, and you're like, I don't even know what this fee is or why it matters. So that, rates are falling. That's a great thing for the market. We want to see that, but it's important to know who you're working with and make sure that these people care. They have experience in the market.
Yep.
They can answer questions, and they're able to pivot if need be.
Correct. That's key. Pivot. Pivot's a good word. I like that word.
Word
Pivot.
of the day. We'll make that the word of the day.
Pivot.
But it's what we're good at. Everything is figure outable. And we love having these conversations. And I encourage everybody to like call us, call Angelo, call me. Don't call me about like this like interest rate stuff, like call Angelo, but we want to help. We are your partner.
100%.
So that's
partner. We're not your enemy. We're keeping an open line of communication. We're here in your best interest. We want you to be happy at the end of the day. We want it to be a good deal for you at the end of the day. So we're all in this together, right?
That's right.
So I think that was a pretty good Thursday thoughts.
Yeah.
Definitely some stuff that a lot of people don't know about when it comes to locking and things like that. So
relevant.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So.
I'm so glad y'all tuned in today. Make sure that you are following us on social media. Where can people find you, Angelo?
CLTMortgageguy. Pretty much
Everywhere.
on every channel whatsoever.
Right
yep, CLTMortgageguy. And we got
Ashley Hannah Murphy. I'm
Hannah Murphy.
everywhere. I'm trying to like do TikTok, and that's weird for me, but you know. But Instagram's my jam. It's where you can find me. Send us messages. We'll see you again. Not next Thursday, the Thursday after.
Following Thursday. Yep.
Here live on Instagram.
Rock and roll.
We will see y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a good one.
Yeah.